My next guest is one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, Jacksonville Jaguars legend, Mr. Jimmy Smith. Jimmy, has everything going for you?
Great, my friend. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So how's your summer going?
Summer's going great. No complaints. First couple of days here in Dallas is probably like 90, 95 degrees. So summer has started. I see you still wearing a sweatshirt or hoodie.
Yeah, it's a little cool in here, but it's getting there. It's getting there. You guys have the humidity? It's a little humid outside. It's a little cool in the house right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have been your thoughts on the offseason so far? I know we had the draft about a month ago, or a little over a month ago, and then the guys are off right now until training camp starts. What have been some of your thoughts on some of the moves some of these teams have made?
You want to hear my thoughts on teams or my team?
Your team, anything that's kind of caught your attention.
Yeah, I don't follow anybody else's team. I just concentrate on Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, Jags. So you got Tebow, Trevor Lawrence, made some moves. Urban Meyer. What are your thoughts?
Travis ATM. I'll tell you what, we got the national media's ear right now, and a lot of people don't like that. We had a tough season last year, going 1-15, 2-14, or whatever it was. So we definitely earned the right to have the number one pick in Trevor Lawrence. I'm glad we got him. I'm glad we signed Tebow to see. Trevor Lawrence is going to lose this year. Trevor Lawrence hasn't lost, 4 times during this entire career since he's been playing football?
Yep.
Well, he's going to lose some games this year in Jacksonville. So you got to have a guy like Tim Tebow in the locker room to help him deal with that. There are going to be some people pointing the finger at him. Hey, we should have drafted Justin Fields, not you. So he hasn't experienced that yet. So Tim Tebow is going to be an excellent guy. Tim Tebow he was signed as a tight end, but he ain't going to play no tight end. Don't expect for him he may get in there on some plays, but don't expect for him to be the next Shannon Sharp or Hall of Fame tight end. No, he's there to ensure that our locker room stays as a close-knit family type deal. And he's a man that walks by faith, so I would have him in my locker room any day of the week.
So you think he's going to be like the Jags equivalent of like a Udonis Haslam, like he's barely going to play, but he's going to keep everything kind of together?
I think so. I think that's a real good role for Tim Tebow, provided he makes the team. I can't see why sign him if he didn't have a shot to make the team. I think not because of his athletic ability, but because of his relationship with Urban Meyer. I wish I had a relationship with Urban Meyer. I think we all do. So hats off to Tim Tebow. I think he'll do well in Jacksonville.
So do you think they're going to keep Minshew? Or do you think they should trade Minshew?
Well, Minshew's my homeboy. He's from Brandon, Mississippi, so I'm always pulling for him to stay as a Jacksonville Jaguar. You never know if Trevor goes down. He's a solid backup to bring in. His completion ratio is out of this world. He's a good quarterback to have as a backup. So I know Minshew may not want to hear that because he believes that he may be a starter, but I believe he's a good backup to have on our squad within our franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Were you surprised they took Etienne after James Robinson had a phenomenal year last year?
Yes, I was surprised. I was surprised that we took Travis ATM. But I now see how Coach Urban Meyer is utilizing him in the system. He's lining him up immediately at wide receiver. I'm sure he'll do some return work. I'm sure he'll use him various ways, just as long as they get the ball in his hands, because it's getting to the point now to where it's not going to be enough balls to go around, and that's a good problem to have on an NFL team. You got Trevor Lawrence, you got James Robinson. He's going to be handing the ball off first as a priority. And then when things open up in the secondary, you got to get the ball to DJ Chark, Saviska. You got some guys, some playmakers out there. So we'll see how it works.
What about on the defensive side of the ball? Any guys that intrigue you?
I really haven't been focusing on the defense, but I do like the acquisitions that they've made. So we'll just have to see. But my focus has been all on that offense, man. And I like what they're putting together.
That's awesome. Do you think Chark is is he the best receiver they've had since you and Keenan were there?
Is he the best? No. I think Allen Robinson would probably fit that mold. Probably been the best outside of me and Keenan McCardell. But Chark, he has a chance. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt, man. He hadn't had many opportunities, I should say, in my eyes. But I think, he's made one Pro Bowl. I thought last year we fell off a little bit, but I think with Urban Meyer coming in there, re-energizing things, letting our number one receiver know, DJ Chark, hey, you got to get stronger and faster. And that's what a head coach is all about. If he tells me that, then I'm going to get stronger and faster because it's telling me one thing, that they're going to rely on me to make plays, and therefore they're going to be getting me the rock.
So what are your expectations for the team for this season? Because I don't think they're not expecting playoffs, but anything is just growth from last year.
Well, right. I don't think there'll be a playoff team, but there'll be a team that's going to compete. I just want to see a team that's going to get out there, compete, and fight in the fourth quarter when they have the opportunity to win the game. That's all I want to see, regardless if they win or not. They have to learn to win. You don't just come in the NFL and start winning. You have to go. It's a process. You hear about this process all the time. Well, some of that process for these NFL teams is learning how to become winners. And right now, they're not winners. They're losers. They just came up a season last year where they went 1-15. Yeah. So they're losers.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit about your career. So I saw you went to Jackson State. So I want to ask you, how do you think Deion's doing?
Yeah, I went to Jackson State. I'm an alum there, and I think it's awesome that Deion Sanders is there. He's already done a lot for HBCUs as a whole, not only Jackson State, but you just look at that deal, that couple $100 million deal that he got Pepsi to put up for all HBCUs. He's going to hold people accountable in these historically Black universities, And that hasn't been done before. More years, and we're going to be competing with Alabama as far as recruiting. Yeah, I said it. Alabama.
Do it one more time. You broke up a little bit. I want to repeat that.
I said, give us 2-3 more years as far as recruiting. We're be competing, and I'm talking about Jackson State with Alabama as far as recruiting. Did you hear that?
I heard that. Jackson State 2 or 3 years.
You heard it. Okay.
All right. And
Yep.
All right. So what was your experience like playing there? How did it kind of grow your game?
Well, it was a good experience because my father went to Jackson State, and I wanted to follow in the same footsteps as my daddy, along with some more players that played with my dad. Their sons also decided to go to Jackson State. So it was kind of like a second generational thing. And then, Jackson State was considered one of the top HBCUs in the country. Also, they've been leading attendance forever. And it's 10 minutes from where I grew up.
Oh, cool. That's not bad. It's easy commute. Did I have a question? Did Deion reach out to you to see if you had any interest in coaching?
No, he did not. And he don't have to. I was just so excited then that now, if he did reach out, then I'm not going to turn him down, But he doesn't have to hire me as a coach. He can give that opportunity to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I'll come out and just give my little 2 cents worth where it's needed, if he needs that. But he doesn't need that. I'm just happy and proud that he is the head coach of Jackson State, my alma mater. And I couldn't be more happier for my school that Deion Sanders is the head coach at Jackson State.
Yeah. Then I want to ask you, when did they kind of like the scouts sort of come on your radar about saying, hey, you could be a top NFL pick?
I would say the end of my junior year at Jackson State, I began to realize that I had a chance to go to the NFL. And even though when I did realize that, I did not want to come back my senior year and play at Jackson State because I was losing my quarterback. And I thought that would damage or hurt my draft status, whatever it was at the time. And but I wasn't ready for the NFL. And even my senior year, being the top senior receiver taken, I still wasn't ready for the NFL when I got to Dallas. Because when I opened that playbook up, it was like reading Chinese arithmetic. I had no clue what was going on.
Interesting. And then, so how did you go from Dallas? How did you end up in Jacksonville?
Well, I had gotten when Jimmy Johnson had left the Cowboys. Barry Switzer came in to take over. And we all know that whole ordeal between Jimmy, and Jerry, and Barry. And I was pretty much caught up in that. And Jerry, let's see, how did it go? Well, I just remember Barry Switzer calling me into his office. So they offered to cut my pay to $135,000 a year or to release me because I think I was scheduled to make $250. So at the time, I had 2 Super Bowl championships under my belt, and I wanted to play. I knew that I wasn't going to be playing sitting on the bench behind Michael Irvin. So I wanted to go elsewhere and give myself a chance to get from underneath Michael Irvin and go out and play. And I got exactly what I asked for. And when that happened, I got cut, got released by the Philadelphia Eagles. I came in as the number 14th receiver. A month later, I was number 4 and still got cut. Keeping in mind that most teams keep 5 receivers, but I got caught up into the John Wooten and Richie Kotite little scuffle there. I was Kotite's guy. He was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles back then. He called me in his office and said, "Hey, you're just not good enough to play in the NFL," basically. And gave me my walking papers, and it was over with until the Jacksonville Jaguars announced that they had that team. Like, gave it a shot down there.
And the Jags just come into existence. What was that like, kind of joining like an expansion franchise?
Well, joining the Jags, it was like a revolving door, I thought, of guys coming in and going out. And I didn't really want to go down to Jacksonville because of that. But I'm glad I did because it gave me the opportunity to become a franchise leading receiver through a lot of hard work.
That's awesome. What was like the fan base like? Was the fan base like just hyped for the team there from the get-go, or did it take until you guys started winning some games that people started really coming to the stadium?
The fan base has always been tremendous in Jacksonville, even before we got there in '94. I mean, our fans have always been lit consistently throughout, regardless of we winning or losing. Now, keep in mind, nobody likes losing, but we still got some pretty diehard fans. And, man, I tell you, I enjoyed playing in front of those fans. And I enjoy the fans today being able to reach out to them via social media, communicate with them. I get great pleasure out of that. And to hear the stories of, hey, you gave me a glove, or hey, you signed my ball, or you threw me a rag or something after a game. I love connecting with people because I never got a chance to do that had it not been for social media. So it gives me a chance to connect with them, and I'm eternally grateful for doing that.
Absolutely. So when you got there, you said it was like a revolving door. You really didn't expect too much. When did the culture change, and you're like, all right, when did it kind of start rolling for you in that second season when you guys obviously made it to the AFC Championship?
Well, it started rolling, I guess, towards the end of '95, I began to get a lot of playing time. The last 5 games, I got some playing time in '95 after playing on special teams all year. Come back in '96, and they signed Keenan McCardle and Andre Rison. I wasn't happy about it. I was happy for Keenan because we had the same agent, and I knew that Keenan plays a different position. We both play wide receivers, but there are 2, 3, 4 positions of wide receiver. You got your perimeter guy, and then you got your slot guys, and your midfield guys. It depends on how the receiver is used according to their ability. So Ken was a guy who worked the middle of the field. I was a guy who was a perimeter guy. Andre Rison could do both. But Andre Rison, as influential as he was on my career and what I've gained from him, being a role model. He got released in '96 for a lot of reasons. He ran the wrong route, or that's a whole nother story. But I won't get into that. But it was a pleasure to play and learn from guys like Michael Irvin and Andre Rison. I learned a lot from both of those guys, and probably more than any other receiver in the NFL. Michael Irvin and Andre Rison, I learned the most from, as far as footwork, releases, coming off the ball, stances, catching the ball, the whole 9 yards, the whole art of route running. I learned from those two guys. But I was able to take over Andre's spot in '96. I was actually, as a third receiver, leading the AFC in yardage, because when I went in as a third receiver, they would move Andre from the first receiver to the third receiver, and I would come in as the first receiver. So you could pretty much see the writing on the wall. And Andre wasn't happy, but and ended up getting released, and the rest is history. Became franchise leading receiver.
That's awesome. Who's the toughest DB for you to match up against?
I would say Deion Sanders. I would say Samari Rolle from the Tennessee Titans. Oh, Pac-Man Jones, Ty Law. I go on and on. All of those guys. Sam Madison from the Dolphins. All those guys are top-notch defensive backs, and they gave me, obviously, Ty Law and Samari Rolle gave me my toughest battles. I was stick Pac-Man Jones in there also, because him as a rookie coming in with that attitude to where I had to fist fight him for 4 quarters was tough. And a guy who didn't back down from anybody made it tough for me to run routes. So I give credit to those guys.
Who's the best trash talker you ever matched up with?
There were some. I would have to say Fuller from the Cleveland Browns. Corey Fuller. We call him Boucher. I hope he watches this interview, because he got on my nerves because he talked so much trash. I just didn't feel like talking trash. You know why? Because my game was loud. My game was so loud, I didn't have to say anything. But he just wanted to talk throughout the game. Now, Deion Sanders, when I lined up against him, his trash talking was different, because he would come up to the line of scrimmage and ask me if I was a born-again Christian, or do I love the Lord, or do I go to church? I knew what he was doing. He was trying to get me out of my game. But I would say Corey Fuller would be the one that I can hear him in my head right now, trash talking me.
What was he saying? Anything stick out?
Oh, man, I can't remember what he was saying. It was a whole bunch of gibberish, but just to hear his mouth. And it worked, because he's the only defensive back to ever hold me to one catch, and he has a game ball for it. He even posted it on social media one time. So he gets the nod as far as being the only defensive back to hold me to one catch.
That's one. I have a question. When did you and Keenan McCardle, when did you become Thunder and Lightning?
Me and Keenan McCardle became Thunder and Lightning after we did this photo shoot for TV Guide. I believe it was 1997. We did a photo shoot for TV Guide. We were on the cover of TV Guide. That day we were doing a photo shoot. It was inside the stadium, which is really an outside stadium. We didn't have a dome, but it was a storm brewing, and we were trying to hurry and finish the photo shoot. And man, we wasn't beating that storm. That storm was right on us, and it was going to have to shut it down early. And it was thundering and lightning, and we just kind of came up with the nickname right there, Thunder and Lightning.
That's wild. I have a question. Did anybody from the Cowboys reach out to you during your career saying, like, our bad, we should have kept you?
A lot of people still here today. A lot of fans. But it's when I hear teammates there, like Kevin Smith, Robert Jones, a lot of guys have mentioned that. But that's the NFL.
What about Jerry Jones?
I saw Jerry Jones maybe 2 occasions. once when I was playing after a game, after a Jaguar Cowboy game. I saw him, and he mentioned it. And then the other time I saw him was at an Emmitt Smith charity benefit in Allen, Texas, I believe. And he asked me how my mom was doing because he knows my mom don't play. So that was good for him to reach out and ask about my mom.
Oh, cool. I have a question. When did Fred Taylor get there?
Fred Taylor got there in 1998.
What was he like as a rookie?
Fred was quiet, and he was quiet. Well, he's always, normally a quiet guy. He's not a rah-rah guy. But Fred became one of my best teammates, one of my best friends. Had a lot in common. We connected a lot. And we knew that in order for that franchise to win offensively, that it was going to come down to number 82 and number 28 to make plays out there.
And then, do you have any funny Fred Taylor stories people might want to hear? To kind of what he was like.
I do, but I can't tell those stories.
Are you surprised he's doing?
You have to pay for those stories now. And just the fact that he has this new show, I Am Athlete.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about it
right now?
It's
awesome. It's awesome because it's a well put together show, and then what Chad Johnson is doing, with the boxing, it brings a lot more attention to the show. So they're doing a good job. They just got to get me on the show. Oh,
you haven't been on yet?
No, I haven't. I've talked about a lot. I've been talked about several times, but I haven't been on the show yet.
All right, we'll plug it right here. If you're listening,
That's right.
Fred Taylor, Ocho, Brandon Marshall, Crowder, get Jimmy Smith on I Am Athlete. Plus they get the chef, which I think is the wildest thing out there. They'll just be casually just talking out in the blue. They're like, "All right, here's what I got for you today." I'm like, "This is the best shit on YouTube."
Yeah, it is. I love it.
It's awesome. Did you ever see Fred Taylor doing something like that, or do you think, no, this guy's quiet, he's never gonna be doing it on TV?
Oh yes, Fred can communicate very well. Yeah, it's just an opportunity.
Interesting.
And I think he got a real good opportunity with Brandon Marshall and his show. And they got a good nucleus of guys. I don't think you could replace any four of those guys. All those guys fit together for that.
Yeah. Then I want to ask you, so what was it like to just dominate? What was it like just breaking all these? Obviously, Jackson was a newer franchise. You're setting all these records, just blazing, just having all the success. I think it's like one season you had 1,600 yards and change. What was it like just tearing up the NFL?
It was great because I had just into who I was supposed to be originally for the Dallas Cowboys, and able to get out there and produce the yards and the numbers that I did produce at that time. And it came at the right time because it helped us. Those numbers were a part of us getting to one half, 2 quarters from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And so the Jags a couple of years ago went back to the AFC Championship. Do you think they should have tried to keep that nucleus together?
No, I don't think they could keep that nucleus together. And they didn't. Just maybe if they won, they could have. But I think the personalities got in the way. The egos got in the way, and they weren't able to hold it together. But they had a lot of great talent on that team.
Interesting. And I said one last question I want to ask you. What was it like when you got named? Was it the pride of the Jaguars, like the Jaguars team? What was it like getting into that, kind of being enshrined as one of the best?
Yeah, I mean, the pride of the Jaguars is basically the Jaguars Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm eternally grateful for it. I thank our owner, Shad Khan, who wasn't the owner there when I was playing, but for him to acknowledge my play and what I have done for the franchise, I'm eternally grateful to Jaguars Hall of Fame and the pride.
That's awesome. Who's the next guy you want to see get in there, get enshrined?
I would like to see Keenan get in there, my running back.
Interesting. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's all the questions I really have for you. How can people follow you on social media, keep up with you, and just kind of just see what you're up to?
You can follow me. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Jimmy Smith Jags, Jags, Jimmy Smith Jags.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, do appreciate you taking the time. It was awesome chatting with you. Really appreciate it. Glad all is well. Can't wait for the season to start back up, but it's been a pleasure.